Fools fool you, so do you, and lose dudes that want you to lose. So X can use you as a stat, but they have been wrong. You are not defined by just your skin tone.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let's talk about NWA Powerrr, June 22nd, 2021. So we started with Strictly Business, and they're talking about tonight's main event that Tom Latimer, and Chris Adonis are going to be wrestling Mike Parrow in a triple threat match, which is technically a triple threat match. But they all but admitted it was going to be 2-on-1. And Camille was pretty upset about it, said that it was stupid. It'd be one thing if they were wrestling each other one-on-one in the finals, but to put them in a triple threat match against each other is bad business. And the announcer guy, whose name I didn't remember, kind of suggested that Nick Aldis might have something to do with this. And Nick Aldis says, look, I didn't have anything to do with this. This was conspiracy Corgan, his good buddy Corgan. And that was pretty much the crux of the article, of this interview, is just that, these guys are going to beat up Mike Parrow. And then they did. They beat up Mike Parrow in the main event. There was no twist to this. No twist whatsoever. There was no, now, that's what makes it so funny to me. Like, there was absolutely nothing. It told you exactly what was going to happen. And then that's exactly what happened. There was nothing that could possibly, there was a little bit of something that could give Mike Parrow some babyface shine, but let's talk about it, as a matter of fact. Mike Parrow versus Tom Latimer versus Chris Adonis. So the match essentially was Tom Latimer and Chris Adonis beating the shit out of Mike Parrow. They would beat him up, toss him outside of the ring, and then they would traditional wrestle amongst each other. Like, it looked like something on 1991. They were doing arm wringers and behind the back headlocks and headlock takeovers. They were like, oh, that's a good job, brother, and all that kind of stuff. Then Parrow would get in the ring and he'd get beat up. Then they kick him back out, and then they do that for a little while. And then, if occasionally Parrow would bow up and knock one of them outside the ring and try to pin the other one. And he basically was positioned as being the underdog babyface, even though he's bigger than both of these guys. So that's good psychology. So, of course, they got into it. As one of them tries to pin Parrow, it wouldn't work because the other one would just break up the hold, and they would argue about it. And eventually they beat him down to the point where he couldn't respond. And then Chris Adonis told Tom Latimer to do a moonsault at the top rope. So Latimer was like, okay. He gets to the top rope, and while he gets to the top rope, Chris Adonis just pins Parrow, and he wins. So that's it. He outsmarted Tom Latimer, and Latimer was pretty upset about it. They argued, but it was like, two good friends arguing. Come on, pal, what are you doing? And Adonis was like, hey, still in the family. So Chris Adonis will wrestle JTG for the national championship. That ought to be fun. This match wasn't fun. This guy has a tag team partner, and he just kind of stood back and watched his friend get beat up. I mean, there was 100 ways that you could have done this and maintained that they were baby faces. For instance, he could have got on the ring apron and distracted one of them, gave Parrow a time to fight back. He could have pulled somebody's leg. He could have done something behind the referee's back. This is a perfect time for a babyface to cheat, because it's an unfair advantage, and we already know that they're going to beat them up together. So this is a perfect time for a babyface to cheat for what the hell, the end. I want to call them the War King so bad, but this would have been a perfect time for the end to pull some chicanery and try to get Parrow a fair one-on-one match against one of these guys. But that's not what they did, which is really, really weird, because you would think that would be the first thing you would think of. Speaking of the War Kings, Crimson challenged Slice Boogie to a no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere match, to which Jax Dane is going to be at ringside, but he says he's just going to be there to support his partner. And then they have the match, Slice Boogie versus Crimson, no disqualification, Falls Count Anywhere. And this is because Slice Boogie has just been getting on Crimson's nerves, and he just doesn't like him. So Crimson at one point just was beating the tar out of Slice Boogie, and he pulled the old timeout trick, which I have not seen since at least 1993. It's been a while since I saw the old no timeout, and the attempt at a handshake, which I've probably seen that a little bit more recently. But of course it didn't work. Crimson hit him with a Death Valley driver, and got a 2 count, but then he got off the pin. He wanted to make him suffer. He went and got a chair, and Jax Dane talked him out of it, like, no, don't hit him with a chair. You don't need it. You don't need the chair. And Crimson got pretty upset. Ultimately, Crimson just won with a second Death Valley driver, but he was still mad at Jax Dane for stopping him from hitting him with the chair. And, you know, they were doing stuff with tag teams. We're getting into it before. This kind of feels like a normal thing. It's almost WWE like, where we got tag team partners constantly arguing and feuding and fussing and stuff. Slice Boogie has a tag team partner. He didn't help him at all. You know, you would think, you know, you have all these players that you got Marshe Rocket, who is Slice Boogie's tag team partner. I don't know where he went. I think he might have just got knocked down or something. But you just had missed opportunities here as far as creating an opening. And to be quite honest, when Jax Dane stopped him from getting that chair, he should have lost, if we're just being honest. Then that would have been a real reason for them to have heat with each other, because Jax Dane stopped him from hitting him with the chair, and then that caused him to lose. So now he's got heat with Jax Dane for costing him the match. That would have made more sense. But what they did here is, it makes me shrug. So then the next segment was Jordan Clearwater and Black G's. Jordan Clearwater didn't want to wrestle Tyrus, but said that he was ready. Then Black G says that only thing to succeed, all you need is confidence and a plan, and he's got both. And then it was a handicap match, Black G's and Jordan Clearwater versus Tyrus. This was sad. This was sad for 2 reasons. One, Black G's is a midget. I'm talking, the dude got to be like 5'4". He's got to be like looking at Alexa Bliss's eyebrows at this point. He's a small man. He is very small. Okay? And his plan was funny, though. His plan was great. When Tyrus came out, his gimmick was, we're just going to lay down. And he laid down and just laid there. And Jordan Clearwater was, of course, reluctant. Like, I'm not laying down. I'm not doing that. And then Black Jesus was like, you got to trust me on this. Trust me on this. Just lay down. And Clearwater refused to do it. And Black Jesus was like, look, trust me. Just trust me on this. Lay down. And he laid back down. And then he got up and he looked up at Tyrus and was like, this is smart, right? This is smart, right? And Tyrus just kind of looked at him. Didn't say anything. And then eventually Jordan Clearwater laid down and Tyrus pinned both of them. And that was it. So it wasn't really a match, as much as these two guys just decided they didn't want to fight Tyrus and they were going to quit. And Clearwater afterwards was still kind of confused, like, what was that all about? It's like, he doesn't want to fight them. And I guess this is furthering his business, Black Jesus' business proposition with Tyrus and Austin Idol, which is fine, you know. I just hate that Jordan Clearwater's in this position. But I like that he was reluctant, but I don't like that he did it. I think he should have walked off, and then Black G's just got pinned. Like, that would have been fine. I think that would have been a better character moment for Jordan Clearwater. Then we get what it was an absolute train wreck. Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa face to face. This was a train wreck. Every women's segment on this show that involves Thunder Rosa and Melina turns into something that is absolutely awful. All right, this was awful. So it starts out with Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa. They're just talking to each other. And they're talking about the women's championship and who's the number one contender. Obviously, Serena Deeb is like, I want a rematch. But then you got Thunder Rosa who says, I should be the number one contender. And it boils down from there to Serena Deeb feels like an outsider in the NWA. And Thunder Rosa says, well, you are an outsider because you spend more time in AEW. And then you're always trying to steal my shine. I took the title to AEW first, and then you followed me out there. And Serena Deeb, who has, you know, the personality of a textbook, just is kind of like, well, I guess, I mean, okay, I guess. It's like, no, stand up for yourself. Like, you're both hanging out in AEW, but only Serena Deeb gets heat for it. That was dumb. So then they started, you know, the guy, announcer who I don't know, he's like, both of you, you know, have your eyes on the women's division. Who do you think, you know, stands out? Who are your standouts? So Serena Deeb, says her standout is Kylie Ray. So Kylie Ray comes out, and then she does this gimmick where she's like super happy, and she's like confused and doesn't know words. And I was just kind of like, she was a heel like 2 weeks ago. And now, I don't know if Serena Deeb is a heel or not. I couldn't tell because Thunder Rosa was taking unfair cheap shots at her. And so, so Kylie Rae comes out and she just says words about being happy to be there. And I don't know if her gimmick is that she has autism or what. I have no idea what her gimmick is supposed to be. So Thunder Rosa starts talking about her protege and how she, sees people who have, so much potential and the sky is the limit for her. And then out comes a barefoot Melina who says that, thank you for your kind words, but I don't really need it. And then Thunder Rosa was like, you're right. You're a legend. I don't need to put you over, using insider terms on TV, whatever. And then Melina is offended that Thunder Rosa wasn't talking about her. And from there, she immediately starts talking about Serena Deeb and how everyone knows that Thunder Rosa is the real number one contender, and saying, like, why do you even want to be the number one contender anyway? You don't even want to be here, because she forgot that she was in the NWA. There's at least 2 or 3 occasions when Melina was talking that she was supposed to say NWA that she completely forgot. And she would just say, here, we got Thunder Rosa here in here. So I was just kind of like, this is awful. Make them do it again, Billy. Make them start out this whole thing all over again. In any event, Thunder Rosa was talking about Sky Blue, who was a young lady I've seen on NWA Powerrr before. So Sky Blue comes out, and then Melina cuts into her and says, like, you're a nice young talent, but you don't quite have it yet. And then she said the same thing to Kylie Rae, like, you don't really have it yet. Like you two are good, you have potential, but you don't quite have it. And then it melts down from there. Like, it was already bad, but it melts down from there as Thunder Rosa shoves Serena Deeb and says, stop trying to steal my shine, bitch. And then it becomes this huge scrum. And then Melina cold cocks Kylie Rae for almost literally no reason. Just what the fuck? What is going on here? I don't know who the baby faces are. I don't know who the heels are. Serena Deeb has the personality of a math book. I don't understand what's going on with her. Why is she getting so much heat for being in the NWA or for being in the AEW? And it wasn't her fault. It was Thunder Rosa. If we already acknowledged that, who took the title to the AWA in the first place? AEW in the first place. Now I can't cut a promo. So it was ridiculous. All this is ridiculous. This was the worst segment on the show. It's for like the 4th time I don't think they've had 4 episodes since the last pay-per-view. But I think during the last season before the pay-per-view, there was a Thunder Rosa segment that was god awful. But this was pretty bad. These Thunder Rosa segments are not good. Her matches are good. These Thunder Rosa segments, not good. They're not. But that's NWA Powerrr for June 22nd, 2021. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session. But you got an affection for no progression, regression. The best.